On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Torn Arteries by Carcass. To another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal and we like to talk about it. And today we're talking about Torn Arteries by Carcass, a death metal band from the UK. We've talked about them previously.
About heartwork.
We talked about heartwork for our first Death Metal December, I think.
Was it?
Because, that was when I was sick.
Oh,
that
right.
was when I was coughing for 2 months straight.
This time I'm the one who's sick.
Yeah, now you're the one. It's a rule for Carcass. You have to be suffering from lengthy coughing fits whenever we talk about Carcass on the podcast. So.
Apoplexy. That's what you have to have.
Apoplexy.
Yes.
So we'll talk more about this in a bit. This is their newest album. It came out last year. Both of us kind of it came out and it sort of missed both of us for a while, I think. And then you went like, oh yeah, there's a new Carcass album. Let's talk about that. We'll talk more about that later on. But first, how are you doing?
I'm doing better. Because I actually got
physically.
I got an ultimatum last week because I missed last Friday of work, and so I got a nasty gram from on high saying you can't just take these unannounced days off. I mean, I wanted to say I'm sick. I didn't plan on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not having a discussion that can lead to no good.
Yeah.
I'll just say, yes, sir. Okay. He says, you're going to the clinic. And I went, yes, I'm going to the clinic.
Okay.
And that's what I did. And I'm glad I did because I don't know why I put it off for so long.
Yeah.
Because they gave me prednisone. They gave me codeine, which you don't like the codeine.
It doesn't do anything for me.
All right. Well, you have to mix it with whiskey.
Or Sprite and some other make some purple drink.
Pucker.
Or lean, as they call it.
Yeah, yes, lean. What else they give? They give me bromoproxylene. I can't remember what it is. Something that makes you not cough. I looked at them and I said, uses makes you not cough, and then a long list of cancers it causes.
Fun.
Yeah, and then they also gave me a Z-Pack.
Okay.
So azithromycin. So yeah, I'm way better than I was.
That's good. Yeah. My brain's completely fried.
Mine too.
We were talking about this, at length before we started because it's been like a weird sort of very anxious week for various reasons that we don't need to talk about all of them necessarily, but it's just like it's been a busy week.
It has been an emotional week.
And I've got a bunch of interviews with semi-famous people,
right?
And now one properly famous person. Yes, because I thought I was going to have jury duty starting next Tuesday in Bismarck. So I was going to miss an interview with Doug Jones,
right?
Who I've seen a bunch of movies that he's been in, and I was excited to talk to him. But then it was like, oh, I'm going to have to miss that. So you would have stepped in,
right? Which I would have loved that, but I'm glad you're getting it back.
Now I'm getting that back because the trial date has been moved. I did one this morning. It went fine, other than we had to delay it by about 2 hours because she had to drop her kids off at school.
Sure,
which is understandable. But yeah, it was I don't know. Interviews always make me nervous, even when it's just with people, random ass people in Minot, North Dakota.
Even when it's not on the radio.
Yeah.
I don't want to interview anybody in person at all.
You just don't want to talk to other human beings.
I don't want to ask anybody any questions that they might actually answer.
Yes. Well, and for some of this, it's people who are best known for things I haven't seen.
Sure.
So it's like I don't really know how well I'm going to do in that interview, but also it's not inside the actor's studio or some shit like that, No,
it's a 2-minute interview.
Yeah, or
5.
This morning's was 5. Just because, I don't know I don't feel like it's quite appropriate when you've got a person who's been in things to then be like, all right, 2 minutes. That's it. That's all you get.
You get A, B, C, we're done.
That feels weird to me.
Yeah.
So, I'm fine with, getting rid of a song and putting that in, although we're not going to be putting him in until like next week.
It would be funny to get the celebrity best known for this, and this. They're going to be at the convention here in Minot this next coming month. How you doing up there? I'm doing great. That was them. They're going to be at the convention.
Just get a quick soundbite from them.
Coming back with Skinnerd.
It'll be interesting to talk to Doug Jones.
Yes. Yeah. Have you seen Pan's Labyrinth?
I haven't yet, and I'm honestly like, I should probably do that this weekend.
I was going to say you should do that.
I should watch Pan's Labyrinth. I still haven't seen Shape of Water.
Really?
I should watch that.
I borrowed that from my friend. What the hell's his name again? Pirate Bay.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Your friend.
My buddy, his name is Pirate
Your friend
Bay.
PB.
PB, yeah.
Good old PB. But yeah, I should watch some of those Del Toro movies that I haven't seen because I know they're fantastic.
Because they're Del Toro movies.
And also, it'll better inform me talking to him.
Yes.
Although, of course, like the convention that he's coming to is chock full of Star Trek Discovery people, which is a show I'm not interested in watching.
Right. Well, you don't want to pay for Paramount.
That too. If I was going to pay for Paramount Plus to watch anything, it would have been the Halo show, but I'm also immensely uninterested in watching that as well.
Yeah.
So I have no reason to pay for Paramount Plus.
It's funny. I got a snap from my sister, who I love and respect very much. Let me start out by saying that. But she said, "I love this new show. Big Halo fan." And so she sent me a screenshot she took on her phone, and I thought, wow, that's like the first good review I've heard. Maybe there's good things about it. I suppose there's got to be. I mean. Everybody else I've read or talked to said, ugh.
Yeah, I've heard it's, even from people who are not invested in the series, a lot of them are kind of like, it's just mediocre.
Right.
And there's weird decisions in the CGI.
Yeah.
There's like a throw-in pickup shot that someone decided they needed to have in a battle scene in the first episode that I saw a clip of, where the Master Chief throws his assault rifle down to the ground so he can pick up this heavy machine gun.
Right.
But it's a cutaway shot of the assault rifle hitting the ground, and they decided that they needed to CGI that.
Because they couldn't actually physically throw a thing to the ground. That would be too hard.
The model of the assault rifle looks like it was ripped out of Halo 1.
The first
from 2001. Like it's bad. It looks awful. And it's like, okay, why was that cutaway of the assault rifle hitting the ground so important that you needed to do that, but also not important enough that you could make the assault rifle look halfways decent? Because the other thing is, like, when it comes to CGI shit, something with hard, flat surfaces is much easier to make look good.
Right.
So they spent a grand total of about 3 seconds on that model and then said, yep, that's fine. And then put through that shot.
Did you put all 15 layers on it? You mean three layers, right?
Three layers. We just did one pass and it's fine. Look, it's fine. People are probably squinting while they're watching it. It's fine.
What they're actually seeing is a Polaroid photograph.
But yeah, I'm just not interested in it. The Master Chief shows his face in the first episode. Like, I understand when you're making a new show, you don't necessarily want to play by, you want to do your own thing, whatever. Sure. And it's not like there's a hard rule that's been written down anywhere. It's like, you cannot show the Master Chief's face, but it's become sort of a running thing of like, he doesn't take his helmet off.
Sure.
And like for the Bungie games, for the original trilogy developed by Bungie Studios, that was for the purpose of, like, the Chief didn't really have a character at all, for the purpose of you being able to, like, insert yourself into the shoes of that character
Sure.
and you know, have a power fantasy. That's
why it worked.
And in the 343 games, they've developed the Chief's character more, and he always had that sort of character in like the supplementary material. They started bringing that into the games with the 343 games, but he still doesn't take his helmet off because it's just tradition at this point. And the only time in the franchise where he's been seen without it on is as a kid, as a child. And he just looks like a nondescript brunette white kid. Like that's it. That's what he looks like. And other than that, like, you know, the other Spartans are described physically, and there's been parts where, you know, we've seen their faces, and they're usually described, if they are Caucasian, being very pale. Right. Because they spend all their time in armor and they don't get any sunlight. So they don't have any sort of tan. They're extremely pale. But like, yeah, the only bits of the Chief's face we've ever seen in a game is at the legendary ending of Halo 4. You see his eyes, and that's you see his eyes, the bridge the bridge of his nose, and a little bit of the sides of his face. And that's it.
But that's in the legendary ending.
That's in the legendary ending. You got to play through or just watch it on YouTube.
Sure.
Like that, you know, they still do the legendary endings as like a reward. I've never earned them.
Really? I've never played the game. I've never played Halo ever.
Yeah. I don't have the same patience for playing really difficult first person shooters as I do for stuff like the Souls games, or, you know, Dark Souls. For whatever reason, it's like, yeah, that's really difficult, but that's the point of those games, is that they are difficult. Whereas when I'm playing a first person shooter, generally, I'm not looking to have a hard time with it. I don't necessarily want to be challenged. Like, I don't really want to be challenged. I don't want it to feel free, but I don't want to get angry at it.
So like Doom.
Well, it depends on the difficulty that you play. Doom Eternal, slowly it got ramped up to me being able to play on Nightmare and not like, and generally not have a terribly difficult time with it, and it was still fun for me. That skill atrophied extremely quickly when I put down Doom Eternal, like, for the first time, and then tried to come back to it later, and I was like, oh, I used to be good at this, and now I am really bad at it.
So I guess my question is then, head to head, Master Chief, Doomslayer.
The Doomslayer. Okay. It's not even
not even close.
The Doomslayer is fucking supernatural. Like
that's true.
It's, you know, the Doomslayer doesn't play fair, basically.
Not at all. Yeah.
He also pulls guns out of his ass.
He has a big wheel of guns.
Like, yeah, it's not comparable. Like, Halo's not the most grounded thing in the world, but it's relatively grounded in terms of like a super soldier. Like the Chief's capabilities are essentially, you know, slightly more than Captain America.
Okay.
He's that kind of super soldier. He's, you know, genetically enhanced like Captain America, and then he's wearing a set of power armor as well. And that's what he's got going for him. He's just really good at what he does, and he's faster and stronger than normal people.
Right. Whereas the Doomslayer is a monster.
Yeah, he's, you know, was once a man, but is no longer. Right. He's a supernatural entity infused with all sorts of crazy celestial / demonic shit.
Right. He's not fighting other soldiers. He's fighting monsters from hell.
It's the same thing when people try to, like, you know, like, who would win, you know, Master Chief or a Space Marine from Warhammer? And it's like a Space Marine from Warhammer, because Warhammer's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Like I said, I've never played Halo, so I don't really know. I always hear things about the Master Chief being a big tough guy, but I never know what to extent.
But it's, you know, to the degree that, like, he's fighting aliens that are big and strong and tough and scary, but they're not, you know, they're not ludicrously so. They're, you know, even the strongest, most terrifying like species of alien that he fights that isn't, some horrible like zombie like abomination that you have with the flood, or like brutes. Brutes have strength roughly on par with a grizzly bear, essentially. They're big and strong, but they're natural creatures. That are relatively plausible to think, all right, yeah, a bipedal creature of this size would probably be about this strong. And then sometimes the higher ranking ones are wearing like power armor of their own, and they're even stronger and faster and that sort of thing. Again, relatively grounded. It's not Warhammer where like, all right, the Space Marine's 8 foot tall. He's wearing, armor that weighs several thousand pounds. He's super strong. And he's got a gun that fires, mini rocket propelled grenades.
Sure.
And blah, blah, all the stuff with that. And he's almost every single standard enemy that Space Marine is fighting is as strong as he is.
Right.
Like,
but does he have a BFG?
Yeah, there's stuff kind of comparable to BFGs in Warhammer. Now, like Doomslayer versus certain, particular Space Marines in Warhammer, that gets to be the more
contentious,
a more
have an even match,
equitable.
Yeah,
that's probably not the right term, but it's more. They're more comparable. The Doomslayer versus like a Grey Knight is more reasonable comparison to make. This is all extremely fucking nerdy, but
okay. If we're might as well stay on the topic of video games.
Sure.
You downloaded last night.
Yeah, I started playing Elden Ring.
Yeah.
It's good so far. I mean, I barely got anywhere in it.
Right.
I played for like 2 hours.
Let me tell you,
night.
I bought it 2 weeks ago and I barely got anywhere on it. But I mean, I have children.
You've got other things to do.
Other things I'm doing. I'm not sitting there playing for 10. And I expressed that to my 10-year-old today. I said, I was so happy that for once, Kale was talking to me about a video game that I had gotten further on than him. And I'm just enjoying this while I can because he'll have more time to do it. Then he's going to say,
soon I shall surpass you.
Yeah, easily. Yeah. I beat
Last we met.
Margit's gone, man.
Yep. Last we met.
Yeah.
What the fuck does Darth Vader say? You were the master. I was but an apprentice. Yeah. Now I am the master.
There it is.
It's been a really long time since I've actually watched A New Hope.
Yeah.
Or really any of the original trilogy. It's been quite a while since I've watched the original trilogy of Star Wars.
You should do that.
I should at some point, but I haven't in a while. It's one of those things where I don't know. I mean, and we talked at length about my love for the Lord of the Rings. Yeah. I feel so committed and drawn to rewatch the Lord of the Rings every year. I don't feel that way about Star Wars.
Any of the movies.
Yeah, really any of them. It's like, out of all of them, I'd go back and rewatch the original trilogy.
Sure.
If I were to do it, but I don't feel a pull to go and do that. Like I think they are so suffused into pop culture.
You don't need to.
That I feel like I don't need to.
Right.
All of them, especially the original trilogy. And now like the prequels are, because the prequels are so silly at times, you can make a meme out of every fucking frame of those movies and people have.
And so it's all there.
So, I'm constantly exposed to Star Wars memes and shit. And I kind of don't really feel the need to rewatch Star Wars.
I saw episode 1, 2, and 3 in the theater.
Yeah.
And that was the last time I saw it.
Yeah, that's fine. Out of those, I don't mind episode 3 too terribly.
Sure.
Episode 2's awful. 1 is silly, but it's okay.
Sure.
But yeah, episode 2 is pretty terrible, in my opinion. Episode 3 is fine. It's still got the same sort of really awkward writing that the other two have.
Right.
But it's got more going for it dramatically than the other two.
I think the ending is weird, but
yeah, the endings. George was rushing to try and figure out how to connect it back to the original 3.
Sure.
And it was done fairly sloppily, but there's so much spectacle in the rest of that film that it kind of gets overshadowed. And it's easy to be like, well, that's really cool. But what about the rest of the movie? But did you see that fight in the lava? That was pretty fucking cool.
That was pretty fucking cool. Was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, the lava fight and all the starfighters at the beginning. That was pretty cool.
You're right, Jerry Lewis. I think that was pretty cool.
Did you see General Grievous when he had the 4 arms? And he was spinning his lightsabers all over the place?
Hey, I got 4 arms too. I don't know what you're talking about.
I got 2 of them.
2 4 arms.
2 4 arms.
I was born with 4 kidneys.
That's not good.
No, it's good. Everybody's born with 4 kidneys. And then as you mature, 2 of those become adult knees.
Yeah, I got it. In the middle of that joke.
Yeah.
Before you explained it. It was when I got it.
Sure.
I just wanted to let you know that I understood it before you explained it.
Well, I'm glad. I could have just foregone the explanation entirely. And
I would have got it.
Sure. And then it would just sound like I'm an idiot. Is that what it sound like? I mean, as opposed to every other moment of
when you sound like an erudite.
Yeah.
You sound like Fraser Crane most of the time.
Do I really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I hear you talk and I'm just like, what a knowledgeable, intelligent, and respectable man.
I'm listening. Yeah.
But yeah, I started playing Elden Ring last night, and it's good. I'm having a couple performance hiccups so far.
Sure, well, that happens to every man.
Yeah. Hey, it is at the moment. The settings are on high at the moment.
They're on high?
Yeah. So
Why'd you start on high?
Just that's what it defaulted to.
Oh.
That's it. It's detected my computer's settings.
Those settings. I thought you meant the different. I was going to say there's no difficulty setting.
Yeah, there's not a difficulty.
That's not a thing.
No,
Would you start on Nightmare?
No, the graphic settings are on high at the moment,
right.
And perhaps turning them down. It hasn't been a huge deal so far. Just occasionally a little bit of frame stuttering.
Have you defeated any bosses or whatnot?
No,
not at all.
Technically speaking, if a boss is an enemy with a health bar on the bottom of the screen,
yes, that's what.
Then yeah, I mean I beat the slightly tougher soldier that they throw at you at the end of the tutorial cave. After you die.
Okay.
And then you go down into the cave and you're supposed to jump down and then you go through and it explains all the game mechanics. This is also the first time I'm aware of in a FromSoft game that has an actual fucking tutorial. Did you not do that? You're looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't think I did that. I think I may have skipped. You mean after you get killed by the monster at the top of the thing?
After you get killed by the monster, you wake up in a cave and the horse shows up with Melina and it's like, she's like, this one is whatever she says.
I think I might have just skipped through that.
Yeah, because there's the doors up the stairs, but then to the right side, you look down and there's a whole cave down there.
Full of tutorial
down there. So that probably would have helped you a lot.
My tutorial has been a trial by fire, but I mean,
yeah, in classic FromSoft, like there is, it's the most FromSoft thing I can think of where it's like, okay, we'll put a tutorial in the game, but it's really easy to miss. And I did miss it. I went up the stairs, opened up the door and exited out into Limgrave. And I saw the tree sentinel off in the distance. And I was like, I'm going back inside.
But you can't go back down.
Yeah, you can.
How do you go back down?
You just jump. You don't take that much damage. You just go back.
Well, no, the floor is, I mean, you go back into the room where you came out and the floor is up. I mean, you know, the circle that you come,
you just go and step on the middle of the circle again and it'll go back down.
I didn't do it when I went. Because I went back in the room. It's like, what did I mean? Oh, this is where I came out. And I ran through the whole thing and it didn't go back down or nothing.
I don't know, baby. I could try. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm going to have to go do it again. I mean, because there have been so many stupid moments for me in this game where I've got, oh, you mean the little ring thing is a whistle that brings the fucking torrent? My God, I've had that for a week now. I didn't know I had that.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
See, this is really...
I went back inside because I saw a whole bunch of messages on the ground saying, try jumping. And I was like, come on. But then when I went outside, I was like, there's a tutorial, isn't there? I've heard there's a tutorial and I haven't done it.
Right.
So I went back inside and I was like, I guess you do jump down.
But my question is, have you tried Fingers Butthole?
I have not tried Finger Butthole yet. I also have not seen any great chests ahead just yet. Right. I love those messages.
Those are
pretty great.
I mean, the 15th time you go to the edge of a cliff and it says try jumping.
Yeah.
It's like, ha ha ha. Have you not seen this 300,000 times? You're not funny.
Also, speaking of jumping,
yeah,
I will never. It's okay. Someday I will, but it's going to be a very long time before I stop trying to press A at sites of grace or to pick up items.
Right.
A for, on an Xbox controller is the one on the bottom, which is the jump button.
Right.
Because for the first time ever, they're like, we're going to put an actual jumping feature in this game.
Right. Well, you could jump before, kinda.
Yeah, it was a running leap,
right?
Is what it was,
right.
And it was mapped to different buttons. Now there's a proper ass jump button.
Actually, it wasn't mapped to different buttons on the PlayStation. On the PlayStation, it was circle to sprint, and then bam, hit circle again.
But it was not to the. It was a button that shared duties with other things in the game, like
duties,
rolling, and that button was doing a real heavy amount of work.
Yeah.
It was also your dodge button and everything, and then in Dark Souls 2 and 3, it was the clicking on the left stick.
Sure.
While you were sprinting, did a leap. Right. Whereas this, it's a jump, but now it's on A, which used to be interact with objects or anything.
And now dodge and jump back are different.
Now it's on
the same button, but
the interaction button is on the top, which is Y on Xbox controllers. And every time I get to a site of grace, I do a little bunny hop because I'm
happy.
I'm happy. I'm leaping for joy. It's so annoying. The jump attacks are neat. I'm doing a magic character at least at the start of this.
Yeah.
I might regret that. I don't know, because I also don't know where to find any of the good spells and stuff. I just have my 2 spells that I started with, and I don't know how that's gonna go. But yeah, it's I don't know.
Yeah,
I should have just gone like, all right, let's do the whole unga bunga. Stupid. I'm a strength character,
which is what I did.
That's what I've done in every Dark Souls game so far. Is just I'm gonna use the big hammer.
I'm gonna hit you.
That's how I beat. That's how I beat Dark Souls 3 recently. Is like I was using a longsword. And then, to try and beat the final boss, I was using a longsword.
Right. And in this game, by the way, there are different weapons for different things.
Yes.
I'm also finding out.
But
things in caves don't care if you poke them.
Yeah.
Or slash them.
But
gotta beat them.
But yeah, I was using a longsword to try and beat the final boss. That didn't really work out super well. And I was also using a broken, it's meant to be this way, but it's like a cool, broken greatsword. That was a previous boss weapon. And I was like, that's kind of cool thematically. Sure. And I wasn't, I kept on losing. And I was just like, yeah, let's just pull out the giant frost hammer. Let's give it a shot. And then I beat the final boss.
Sure.
Because that's, almost every single time I've had a lot of trouble with a boss in Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
It was like, all right, I'm going to keep trying. Fuck it. Take out the giant hammer. And I win instantly.
Right. The first time.
I take out the hammer and, I won. The only boss that didn't happen with was Sister Freda, who I was stuck on for 2 weeks.
Right.
Other than that, yeah, it was just, smash with the big hammer.
See, I'm just getting to the point in this game now because I've never upgraded my intelligence or my faith. I've never done any of that because it's like, well, that's not going to help me kill everything with my big sword.
Technically, it will.
Yeah, it will. Well, and especially
because there are big swords that you need intelligence and faith to wield properly.
Yes, and I'm now at that point. Plus, I have Ashes of War that requires FP.
Yes, that you have not invested.
That I have not invested in, so I'm gonna have to start. But I mean, my hit points are over 700. I mean,
yeah, it's always good to have more health.
It's true. I put a lot into vigor and whatnot, but now I'm realizing that I can stand there and take a lot of hits until I die. But
you're not doing a lot of damage.
I'm not doing a lot of damage, right?
But no damage. There's a Star Wars reference to what's the first one? Force Awakens. Here we go.
Yes,
of the first one of the new ones. there's a character that goes, "But no damage," and for whatever reason that line's in my head. But the rest of the movie, I kind of don't remember very well, other than when Han Solo dies. Like,
right,
the Disney trilogy of Star Wars movies, I hardly remember anything about, generally speaking, other than I don't really like them.
Yeah.
Something else I'm a little lukewarm on.
This new Carcass
Torn
album.
Arteries by Carcass.
Yeah.
We were talking before we properly started the podcast that it's like it's fine.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
it's very good. I mean, it's technically good. The songs are not bad. There's actually a couple of songs in here I really like.
Yeah, but nothing's super compelling.
Yeah,
it's all just like, yeah, this is good. Like, it is interesting because, and Carcass was heading this direction even in the 90s, but like. There's a lot of stuff on here that's, got some melodic death metal influence, and then a lot of like just straight up heavy metal influence.
Right.
Like there's kind of there's a sub genre called death and roll.
Death and roll. And
exists.
Those are kind of the ones that I like on here.
They're kind of cool. Yeah.
Because it's different. Them doing something different from what they've done.
There's a lot of groovy sort of stuff on here as well, but none of it in a way that super duper appealed to me.
Right. And they still do their political stuff, and their tongue in cheek stuff, like Eleanor Rigor Mortis.
Yeah, they're doing. I mean, they're doing the stuff that makes them them.
Yeah,
but they didn't really, like you said, they didn't really flex their muscles very much on this. It's just sort of like, we're doing more Carcass, and it's like the Cannibal Corpse album we listened to. It's like, it's more Cannibal Corpse,
sure,
and it's good, but it's not special.
Right.
It doesn't feel special. Which it's not the most important thing in the world to be pushing boundaries when you're
sure,
however old they are in a death metal band
in the 50s. Yeah.
But I don't know.
I mean, it's like when a girl you used to date a long time ago sends you a text with a picture of her tits, and you go, "Oh, I'm glad you're still around.
I'm glad you're still alive.
I'm happy you're healthy and doing fine. So much so that."
But you're not excited about the tits.
You're not excited about the tits at all. I kind of remember that.
You exist.
Oh yeah, I'm gone. You have a phone that's working that you're paying the bill on. That's great.
And it takes good pictures.
It does. You got a newer version of that Samsung.
But this album reviewed pretty well.
Yeah.
It seemed like critics were pretty excited by this. More so than us.
Well, I mean, because Carcass is such a beloved band.
That's true. But I feel like when it comes to metal critics, generally speaking, that doesn't mean much to be a beloved band.
Sure.
Because, plenty of beloved bands have put out some stinkers, and critics have,
jumped all over it.
Jumped on them.
Because the gatekeepers in metal are so harsh.
Oh, very much so. I think part of that is also just because metal's, there's many reasons for that, but I think a part of it is because a lot of people who are into metal are a bit less outgoing, perhaps, and
less outgoing. And I've had this pointed out to me before when I didn't point this out to me. I pointed it out to some friends, and then they had a look. All of them had a look on their face like they were going to stab me when I said this. But I said, but if you listen to metal, there's a lot more emotion to it. It's very, very, very emotional. Your emotions are on your sleeve when you're listening to metal, and you're a very tender person because you're a metalhead.
And people looked at you like you were crazy.
Look at me like I'm crazy, like I'm gonna fucking stab you. So, look at you're getting emotional.
They are getting emotional. Yeah,
of course,
the emotions are not always good.
No, they're not always good. But I'm just saying that they're very big, and I get that, and that's what I love about it. So
yeah. Well, and I think a lot of metalheads are tend to be kind of nerdy as well.
Absolutely.
And it's very particular about what they like, and it doesn't matter what you're talking about. In any genre of any kind of media, people who are very particular about what they like tend to get pretty defensive and also tend to be a bit hostile towards people who criticize it, generally speaking, or people who are not doing it the way that they like it to be done.
Yeah.
Which sucks in its own way, but it's, It's how it is. Doesn't mean it can't change, but it is how it has been on the whole for a while. But there's also a lot of people who, you know, are into and enjoy metal who are, you know, less insufferable.
You're right.
I'm not going to make any claims that I'm one of those less insufferable people, but they exist.
Sure. I know there's a few metal bands that I would never bring you because I love them a lot, and I know you can be critical, which is it's your right. That's your place, and you're critical because you love it. And if I brought it to you, go, this sucks, but shut up.
We've talked about this before. We don't generally like to bring stuff that we know the other person is truly going to dislike.
I've done it a couple of times.
Yeah, but that's usually stuff that I can at least admit that I understand why other people like it.
Right.
There are definitely some albums and bands out there, and maybe not ones that you've listened to, but there almost certainly are albums and bands that are just straight up awful. That I wouldn't be able to really understand why someone would like it.
Right. Like there's an album that came out about 2 weeks ago that has been stuck in my head a lot. And I'm like, I kind of want Kale to listen to this, even though I know full well you're going to go, it's all right. I get why you like it.
What is it?
I guess. Oh, let me say this. I guess I understand why you and Jeff like it.
Okay. What was it?
The new Ghost album.
Oh, Ghost. Okay. See, Ghost is one of those things though where I've never given Ghost an honest try.
Right. And I understand when people say it's not metal.
I truly don't know whether or not I would actually like Ghost. It's one of those things where I've had so many people talk to me so much about how much they like Ghost that it becomes less appealing to me.
You're over it now because too many people have said good things about it.
Yeah, it's gotten to that point.
Yeah,
but when I think of other things in my life that have been hyped to that degree, and not really hyped with Ghost, I guess, but that I've had friends who are really fond of it that I do end up watching almost always. I'm like, yeah, that is really good. So that might be the case with Ghost. And there's stuff that's Ghost adjacent that I do really enjoy. Like, I don't know if they're truly that comparable, but when you think about like I really liked the newest Opeth album, and that's, in a more gothic, less metal direction.
Sure.
I enjoyed that.
Ghost isn't really gothic, though.
I suppose.
They're very, hey, do you like musical theater? What if it was Satan worship? I mean,
on paper that sounds interesting to me.
Yeah.
But
what if it sounded like Blue Oyster Cult?
What if the Blue Oyster Cult was Satan?
Yeah.
What if Satan was the focus of the Blue Oyster Cult? It was. Yeah. I don't know. How much cowbell is there in Ghost?
There is not much.
Not enough.
There is cowbell in there.
There is some cowbell.
There is, yeah.
But there's not enough cowbell.
I've got a fever, and the only prescription
is more. We have a SNL branded cowbell in the studio, and every time I'm in the studio and I hear what
Don't Fear the Reaper?
Yeah, I hear Don't Fear the Reaper come on. I am physically unable to keep myself from grabbing the cowbell and keeping rhythm with it.
Yeah.
It's not possible. If there's a cowbell in your vicinity and you hear Don't Fear the Reaper come on, you have to. It's like the dancing plague or whatever. You ever hear about that shit in medieval Europe or whatever?
Dance themselves to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those like weird unexplained things. Strange like social phenomena that happen. It's like that. Or what I understood to be the strange force that compels Caucasians to sing along to Don't Stop Believin' by Journey. But I guess that was my experience has proved that one wrong.
Right. Or the bacteria that causes ants to climb to the top of plants.
Well, that's a fungus.
Well, it is a fungus. Right. You're right. Not a bacteria.
The cordyceps fungus.
Right.
That one exists.
That's a real thing.
That's a real thing. But it can't infect humans as far as, so no Last of Us situation as of yet.
Shoot.
Gosh darn. Well, dang it. But Torn Arteries by Carcass. What are your thoughts about this? Like, because you're more of a Carcass fan than
Sure.
I have been. You're more familiar with them. I want you to talk for a while.
I mean, I've always really enjoyed Carcass's early work. Like songs like Corporeal Jigsaw Quandary, stuff like on Eaten Back to Life.
Yes.
From my recall, that they're all vegetarians.
Yes. Yeah. I believe they. Yeah. Well, and I mean the album cover is also a heart, but constructed out of vegetables.
Right? And mostly peppers.
Yes, it is mostly peppers.
And
spicy.
Spicy. I've always really loved their music, and it always seems like they're trying to make a point. And
yes.
It was really heavier. Back then, I think Heartwork is kind of where their pinnacle happened.
I mean, I haven't listened to a ton of Carcass, but I would agree with that.
Right.
I liked Heartwork quite a lot when we listened to it.
Right. And then I feel like they really haven't changed. They didn't change their sound after that. They kind of found that. I mean, of course, as we talked about, Swan Song, which is their "Don't Give a Fuck" album.
Yeah,
that they did, and then they just
fuck you guys. We're out.
Yeah, they were out for a while. And then Bill Steer went to go play for Napalm of Death.
Yes,
shortstop, I think. But then.
It took me a second.
But then, and then, they had their coming back album in 2015, 14?
14 or 15, yeah.
Something like
Surgical Steel.
Yeah, Surgical Steel. And that one was very much along the line of this one. I mean, they did, as you pointed out, they did some death and roll sort of elements in here. Like
very like kind of classic heavy metal sort of riffs.
Yeah, but
with death metal distortion on them.
What is it? The Devil Rides Out.
I wrote that down as my favorite.
Yeah, that's I love that song.
I had a hard time like picking favorites just because I was kind of nonplussed, but it's also been a weird day, and I can see myself having been more. Wow!
I didn't mean to do that.
Turn that racket down.
Hey, you kids.
But I can see, on a better, less sort of anxiety-ridden week, enjoying this more than I did.
Yeah, I also like the last track. The Scythe's Remorseless Swing is really good. That's the other kind of death and rolly kind of sounding song on here. The one that just sort of what was the one that was 9 minutes long? Wake Up and Smell the Carcass? No, that wasn't it. That was
well, I think that's a two-parter, so that might have been it. Wake Up and Smell the Carcass is also like a legacy song, I think.
Right.
I've seen it on other stuff they've made. So I don't know if it's the first time they've done a studio recording for that song, because I think the other ones might be like live recordings or B-sides or something.
Right.
The 9-minute one is Flesh Ripping Sonic Torment Limited.
A very Carcass song title.
Every time I heard them say the word Sonic, all I could think of was the Hedgehog. And then I was imagining Sonic the Hedgehog,
with the cherry limeade.
Yes. In a death metal music video and bad things happening to poor Sonic the Hedgehog. That's all I could think of.
And what's funny? I always, for some reason in my mind, I had it that that Jeff Walker was the lead vocalist. Like all these years, up until a couple of years ago, I'm like, wait a minute, Bill Steer does most of the vocals on here.
I guess I didn't know that. I thought Jeff Walker was the lead vocalist as well.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know.
That's how it is in my brain. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I read it wrong.
Well, I think they all contribute vocals, but let me check, see what their
Ken Owen does not.
What their Wikipedia does. Ken Owen was the one who died, right?
No. He left the band. We determined that no member of Carcass has died.
Yes, that's right. I think. Well, maybe someone has, but it wasn't someone that was, super.
Right.
Let's see. Yeah, Bill Steer, guitar, backing. It says backing vocals.
Well, maybe
co-lead vocals, but that says 85 to 92 for co-lead vocals.
Oh, so maybe it is.
Jeff Walker says bass and lead vocals.
Okay,
so
yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe that's what I had assumed all these years, and then maybe I just read that wrong because I'm getting old and my brain is turning to mush.
Yeah, for the album specifically, it says Bill Steer did backing vocals.
Yeah,
so.
it's Jerry Jeff Walker does the
Jeff Walker.
Yeah. An entirely different musician.
Let me Let me grab my Jeff walker. It's a walker, but made specifically for Jeffs.
Jeff.
Da da da. Jeff.
So yeah, I did enjoy this album. I've listened to it probably about 3 times now.
Yeah,
all the way through, and I've enjoyed every listen.
It's an enjoyable album.
Yeah, it's a great metal album, but I don't know how many times more I would listen to it.
Yeah. I don't know. The score that I put together was 83.3,
which is a
out of
decent
6
score.
reviews. It would have been 7, but someone did a fucking 5 out of 7, and I don't know how to reduce that into a percentage quickly without getting a pen and paper out.
Or perhaps a calculator.
Well, a calculator is involved, but the I have to make the form. I have to write the formula.
Oh, sure.
Where it's x over 100 and that thing. I have to do that thing that I learned in math class a decade ago. More than a decade ago. At this
math
point.
class a decade ago.
Yeah, I'm a little boy.
I'm a little boy. I'm not going to rape you.
Oh, John Mulaney.
I'm a little boy.
John Mulaney. You showed me a TikTok today.
I did.
Pointing out how the guy from who does Love? Is it B-52s?
Yeah, the B-52s. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Fred from the B-52s
sounds like
John Mulaney.
John Mulaney.
Uh-huh.
Yes, sounds like or a John Mulaney character.
Right.
Perhaps more accurate. Not John Mulaney himself. I don't believe that John Mulaney's actual singing voice sounds like that.
Or speaking voice. I mean, really, if you listen to what Fred does for the B-52 or did for the B-52s, it's not really singing.
Yeah, it's
sort of a cadence thing.
Yeah. Sometimes it's fun to just talk like that.
Sure.
Hello, my name is Kale, and I'm the host of this here podcast.
Well, hello, Kale. It's good to see you.
Like, that's fun. It's fun, isn't it? You're smiling and laughing. That means it's fun.
Yeah, okay.
So what's your favorite song?
I'm gonna have to actually go with The Devil Rides Out.
We've been agreeing lately.
We have been agreeing
on our favorite songs. We don't often have the same favorite song.
Right.
Last couple of times that has been the case.
Mm-hmm. It must mean that those songs were actually generally the good song.
Because we both have excellent taste.
Yeah.
If there's one thing we know,
right,
it's that both of us have excellent taste, and we're immensely cultured people.
Yes. And this 12-year-old is delicious.
Yeah, we're drinking a scotch that he brought for my birthday last week.
Yes.
That I still had left over. I've actually been savoring it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. This is not something you just keep wrapped in a paper bag and lay under a bridge and drink. I mean,
exactly.
This ain't
no
nitrate.
This ain't no Wild Irish Rose.
Oh, that takes me back.
It's cough syrup. Wild Irish Rose is just cough syrup. Ooh. That's all it is.
Maybe I should pick some of that on the way home.
No.
I've been coughing.
No, don't do that to yourself. You're better than that. But what medal are you bestowing upon this? Like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca?
I think it was very competent, well executed, a good Carcass album, and it gets a silver.
Yeah, all those things, and again, it gets a silver.
Right,
and it might be one of those things where for both of us, maybe it was just the wrong week.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I know it's probably the wrong week because I don't think there are many other albums that I could have listened to this week where I would be super enthusiastic to talk about them.
You know, anytime you're feeling just over emotional, you feel like you're going to burst, like kind of how it's been for all of us for clearly some of the same reasons.
Yes.
It's like when I used to mow the yawn. The yawn?
Mow the yawn.
mow the yard. It's the yard and the lawn.
Yes.
When I used to mow and it would be hot and I'd be frustrated and just be like, I want to take this lawnmower and shove it down my own fucking pants right now. and then I realized, you know what? I should probably stop listening to Exodus at the moment.
While I'm mowing
the lawn. I love this Exodus album, but I think We Lost the Sea is probably going to be...
Let's listen to something contemplative and...
some Michael Brook. Maybe I'll put on some Enya.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just something.
Who can say where the yawn is?
Yeah.
Mow the grass. Only time. Yeah, no, I get like that as well, where it's, as much as I love extreme metal, there are definitely times where I feel like, and this has been a shift in my life in the sense that, like, when I was in college and I was doing like, screamed vocals and stuff before I kind of hurt my voice, is that would be what I would do when I was angry, is I would listen to stuff that was how I was feeling, and I would be able to express myself with the music. Yeah. But now, as a person who relies on their voice to make money, that is not really something medically that is advisable for me. Yes. To do in an amateur fashion. So yeah, it's gone from being like, when I'm angry and when I don't feel good, singing something to get that cathartic release and really engaging with it that way. Now I don't want to do that because I can't engage with it the same way I used to anymore. So I'd rather listen to something that has an active cooling effect.
That was another thing I saw on the TikToks recently.
It's every time you say that, you get, like, in my head, a year older.
Yeah, I'm now 103. But yeah, there was a guy who was talking about just for all of you who are stressed out there. I'm a medical professional. I want to share with you a very effective breathing technique for when the people are really getting you down and it's causing you stress. So would you take you take a deep breath in? Fuck off.
That medical professional's name, Travis Ryan. That'd be funny.
It's odd though. That's a band I can actually listen to when I'm stressed out.
Well, because it
makes me feel better.
They've also got more going on, depending on the album. They've got more going on than just being, super brutal death metal band. They've got some dynamics.
They do
going on that make them in certain ways a bit more palatable for different sorts of moods.
Right, they had those 3 different vocalists in there.
Yes, yeah, all those different vocalists in Cannibal Corpse. Cannibal Corpse? Oh god, my brain really is fried. I confused Cannibal Corpse for Cattle Decapitation.
Cattle Decapitation.
Who could confuse two bands with C's in their names that are both described? Yeah, death metal bands with gory names starting with C. How could anyone confuse the two?
Speaking of which, Carcass.
We're done talking about Carcass. We've been done talking about Carcass for a while. So.
Well, but you said you sounded like you were tying it together, but perhaps no?
I wasn't. No, that was just a ramble.
All right.
We were just taking a walk down a long road to nowhere. But
metaphor for life.
Yep. So next week, it's time for us to finally talk about the new Silent Planet album.
All right. Have we done Silent Planet before?
Yeah, we did. We've done 2 of their albums before.
Have we? We've been doing this for almost 4 years now.
Yeah, we've done their the 2 albums previous to this one.
I'm going to listen to the new album and go, oh yeah, this.
Yeah,
I know I am.
It's called Iridescent. Came out towards the end of last year.
Yeah,
and I enjoy it quite a lot. It hasn't quite grabbed hold of me in the way that some of their previous stuff has. But I'm wondering if that's got more to do with maybe my taste shifting a little bit, or I don't think it's the fault of the sound. And there's a lot of stuff that I really do enjoy on there, but it just hasn't quite grabbed hold of me as tightly as some of their previous work has. But we'll talk about that next week. Iridescent by Silent Planet.
I'm on it.
Until then, thank you for listening. You can find social media pages, Twitter and Facebook, on your internet. There you go. That's how you access those. It'd be hard to access them without the internet.
It would be.
But I completely lost it.
Your app, your podcast app.
Yeah, it's Apple Podcasts. It's on your phone, and if you have an Apple computer,
perhaps
there's probably a podcast app on the desktop. I don't know how that works.
I don't have an Apple.
I haven't touched.
I have an Apple phone, but
I haven't touched an Apple computer in a long time.
I've touched both Apples and computers very frequently,
but not an Apple computer.
Not an Apple computer.
So we're also on Libsyn's The Podcast Source.
Yes.
Download it from your Google Play Store.
On whatever device.
Or your app store. Your app store of choice.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Medalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.
We're okay. We really are. It's
We're fine.